Hi everyone, welcome to today's live session on how to build frictionless omnichannel customer experience to propel business growth. Customers today have an unprecedented number of channels to engage with brands and businesses, be it calls, SMSs, social media, email, chat messengers, etc. As per industry estimates, around 73% of customers switch between an average of 4 channels during their purchase journey before they freeze their pick. Today, customers expect brands to have a swift response to their queries across channels. Brands need to constantly analyze the cross-channel customer data to understand what touch points they are leveraging to create personalized customer experiences. Today, to help us understand how businesses can create a seamless and frictionless omnichannel customer journey, we are joined by experts who have been championing the creation of great omnichannel customer experience for businesses across sectors. It's my great honor to welcome Mr. Vinay Bhartia, Country Manager, India at MessageBird. Vinay heads India at MessageBird, and he is a passionate, self-motivated international strategy and business development leader with 20 plus years of proven track record of delivering profitable business growth in conventional and fast-growing technology companies like MessageBird, ByteDance, and Alibaba. Vinay loves food and cooking, and one day he hopes to write his own cookbook. So welcome, Vinay. Thank you for joining us today.
Hey, thanks, Satyajit. I think we're seeing a good number of people joining in. Let me start sharing my screen, gives a few minutes also for people to join in.
Sure. As Vinay shares his screen, I would move to my second panelist of the day. My second expert of the panel is Mr. Pradeep Gangawane, Head Solutions India at MessageBird. Pradeep has a rich and highly productive 20 plus years of IT work experience in software production solution development, software project delivery, software strategy, pre-sales, and marketing. Pradeep is an expert in leading customer engagement, leveraging his strong solution and pre-sales skills and deep industry knowledge. He is adept in implementation of CPaaS use cases across sales, marketing, and customer support arena. So welcome, Pradeep, and thank you so much for taking out time and joining us today.
Thanks, Satyajit.
Thanks. Welcome, gentlemen. I would now like to invite Vinay to kick off the proceedings for the day. So over to you, Vinay.
Wonderful. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Namaste. Welcome to this interactive session. We hope we can share some insights and also obviously hear your questions. Then welcome to the webinar on how we can become more efficient. And I think as professionals of customer service and support, customer experience, this only becomes more important. The format is I'm going to run through 10 to 15 minutes of quick presentation of slides, mainly sharing real life examples and cases. And then Pradeep is going to do a 20-minute technical demo or deep dive into how do these use cases actually pan out, how easy is it to build some of these cases, and obviously drive higher customer satisfaction, but low dependency on the engineering team and drive significant cost. As I start, let me quickly kind of walk you through a few slides of MessageBird, a quick introduction. For those who don't know, you're actually already using MessageBird in some form or the other, whether it's Airbnb, Uber, Facebook, your OTPs, DHL. We're serving today we're processing today more than 10 trillion messages annually across messages, emails, and calls. A small NASCAR plate or a boilerplate that kind of shows you the spread of the customer profile in different verticals across different geographies. I think today we're servicing close to 25, maybe even close to 30,000 businesses and brands globally. Our journey in India is very young. It's only less than a year old, and we now have close to 30 or 40 customers in India. But if you look at us where we are, we're 10 plus offices, 800 of us, we call ourselves birds, 50 plus nationalities, 60 countries with customers, and over 240 direct carrier connections. One slide, if I had to say what we do, gives you a snapshot of what MessageBird is and what it does. Everything is within our own ecosystem, single dashboard, single API, single use case. And I think I'll leave this slide for later discussions so that you can take it up with the team. So, yeah, I want to go straight in and say, why did we do this webinar, right? And I think all of us attend many webinars, but why? Over the last couple of months, we've seen an enormous amount of customers reaching out to us, both in India as well as globally. How do I become more efficient as we see a big influx of number of customer support tickets, especially in a country like India, voice and email, right? People like to call or people provide a contact center number. But we don't know, but we don't want to at the same time ramp up our support teams. I think we know one, hiring people, retaining that talent, because we're always in the middle of a war for talent. It's becoming more and more difficult to attract people, but also retain people. And therefore, the important question for you to answer is, can we address this without increasing our cost, dependency on contact centers, people, processes, and drive more efficiency, right? Customers today want best experience, right? I think, but few things have not changed since the pandemic or even post the pandemic. And we seem to have come out, at least major part of the pandemic is people still want to call, or people are still calling businesses and to talk to them because that's the default way of customer support and service. And I think we all have seen when we call a number and say, hey, the waiting time is 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. However, the customers today actually spend most of their time on chat with apps like WhatsApp, social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, and search for on Google, right? Right now, you and I, we communicate with most of our friends and family over WhatsApp. And this is the most app used today, right? In fact, a matter of fact, 80% of customers say they want to be serviced by a brand over messaging rather than calling a customer service agent, right? So not only that, today's customers willing to post, comment, query, show an interest, or even complain on their preferred channel rather than having to go and call a number. But that's just not the customers, right? If you actually see a recent survey that was done by businesses or CEOs, 77% of CEOs actually said they will fundamentally change the way it engages and interacts with customers, right? Or they would. And that brings us to our North Star is, can we make it as simple as, can we make it simple for customers to talk to businesses as it would be to talking to friends? So this webinar is for you guys as business owners, CX professionals, CS professionals, and why are channels like WhatsApp becoming very important. Let me start with a very high level or a 60,000 sort of feet view. One, it can reduce your cost by 30%. We've seen and we've implemented solutions where the cost saving has significantly increased from anywhere between 20, 30 to 60, 70%. Secondly, you're connected to the backend, right? I mean, you'll get a chance to connect your backend systems to the channel. For instance, on the right-hand side, you'll see someone is messaging you over WhatsApp based on his or her number, the identifier, you can actually pull up the order history and ask them, hey, would you want to return a parcel? Or do you want to track a parcel? Do you want to reschedule delivery? Or do you want to speak to a customer agent? And most importantly, for you as businesses, it also improves employee satisfaction on the customer support and service side. The reason is they don't have to ask these questions again, or they don't have to ask pre-qualifying questions again and again, because based on the incoming message, we're able to pull information and push this back to the customer. So what is the road to 3x efficiency? And we like to call that, because can we set ourselves an objective of 3x efficiency? One is improve the number of tickets. Second is reduce the cost. We're going to start with one of that I'm personally most interested, and I think it's very contextual to India, is high dependency on the volume of calls that come into the contact center. Call deflection. Can we deflect calls that come into a contact center to a channel like WhatsApp? Of course. And why? Calls, of course, are the most expensive channel. Over Energy, which is here as an example, second largest utility provider in the UK, it had a massive problem of having a lot of incoming calls that they wanted to deflect to another channel and become more and more efficient, saving cost, drive greater customer service and satisfaction. So what do they do? By setting up, when you call an IVR with MessageBird, they added an option when a caller would call the number, press 1 for WhatsApp. We all have experienced this, right? Imagine you're calling a customer support line, it says there's a 20-minute waiting line. However, now you are able to offer immediately to go and speak to an agent over WhatsApp, resulting in almost zero waiting time, instant query resolution, higher customer satisfaction. Obviously, what is the result? In this case, in this customer, a 25% deflection on calls to WhatsApp. More importantly, a zero waiting time for the customer, leading to a higher customer satisfaction. So what's next? Okay, We've deflected 25% of the calls to WhatsApp. But then the question you would ask, or one should ask, is what do I do with all these questions, right? Customers, I have a massive call volume coming every day. I've deflected it to WhatsApp, but how do I manage so many questions with different languages, different interests, different requirements, and different intents? Let me walk you through that. You can simply, sorry for that. You can simply, by automating FAQs, both during work hours and also post work hours. When you see on the right-hand side is actually an example that shows that you have order buttons. The customer chooses, hey, I want to return. We can simply reply back and saying, okay, you can return the order via the link, so and so forth. So you can track the status of your parcel or obviously speak to a customer service agent. What we've seen is 40%, and this is based on research as well as some of our customers, 40% of all incoming questions can actually be automated. What does that result in, or why this is important? 90% of consumers, that is your customers or consumers that actually buy your product or service, actually state it is very important or important to get an immediate response. Now, obviously, there is a big chunk of people we know would still like to speak. I think I sometimes like to speak to a customer service agent because I have a very specific query. You can always give that as an option and continue to doing that. Okay, we've done 25% deflection to WhatsApp. We've automated 40% of the question, but the remainder still wants to speak. What we do is we recommend doing that by using the MessageBird AI, for instance, to detect a language. India is a very complex market, right? And we all know that, right? Customers have wide variety of requirements, whether they want something, if the customer is angry, upset, in a rush, or wants to return something, or talk to finance, talk to support, talk to billing, talk to logistics, or has a different language in itself, or wants to talk in his own regional language. MessageBird is working with customers using AI to improve routing. So if you see on the right side, customer posts a question into the channel, hey, Snickers, I received a damage, can you help me out? The AI capability is automatically able to pick up the Mary Francis actually is a case of damage, has a case of damaged goods and would like to refund the product. And what does that lead to or reduce is one, frustration of the customers to repeat yourself to multiple agents, because now she doesn't have to explain what she is or what is her case. It's the question or the intent is recognized and routed. Secondly, imagine the efficiency the agents have been able to do. They don't have to keep asking the questions to the customer again and again on, hey, how can I help you? What is your query? What is your requirement? So having done this on deflecting calls to WhatsApp, what if I challenged you and said that the same can be provided or the same customer experience can be provided across all the channels and using a single inbox, right? And great customer journey is built across all channels. Basically, you can provide the same customer journey across all channels like WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, Google Business Messaging, obviously even put product QR codes, and that helps the customer reach out to you and ask various questions. So you may want to speak to, somebody may want to speak to you in a live chat also, and all that is possible. It's becoming more and more visible, if I may say, for a customer to engage a business on his channel of his choice, right? I think when we see something on Instagram, we like to put a comment. If it's a new product, we like to purchase it. If we go to Google and we say, hey, ABC Brands customer support number, and we wish we could find the answer from there or communicate with the business from there versus having to go to the website and then find, right? So I think recognizing the customer's channel is very important. What we are seeing is this allows you to provide personalization for your customer. A customer would not have to repeat himself, introduce himself or herself, or switch to another channel. So basically, you don't have to tell him, okay, thank you for your query, but in order to resolve your query, please come here, or please talk to us here, or this is our email address. You can actually address his query in the same channel that he's reached out to. And why is that important? I think another survey that shows in 2021 is 71% of customers today expect personalization, and customers are getting even more frustrated if they don't receive this. Let me show you a few examples of how this would actually look. Guzman and Gourmet is a retail restaurant with over 100 outlets. These are 4 popular channels, right, that businesses like yours are present on: Google, Instagram, Facebook, and actually product QR code. Now, if you actually see the chat, I'm not sure if you can see the chat, but the message and the QR code, this is what MessageBird is championing and empowering businesses to say, hey, now you can be present on all the channels. Let the customer choose how he wants to talk to you and actually address all those queries, right? How would that look? Just a few examples, a few snapshots. I went to Google. I was searching for Mexican food. I found Guzman Gomez. I said, hey, I'm hungry. Do you have burritos? My query resolved. Now I've converted a lead into an opportunity, into a conversion, into a victory, and I can drive that conversation for me to come to the restaurant. Or Instagram, right? What can I order? Or somebody post, hey, I received a damaged product. You can address that. You don't have to throw people at it. You can actually throw the AI tooling and then back by customer support or service. Similarly on Instagram or WhatsApp. I want to tell you another story. I think two more stories to go on this one. We all know Aramax, right? Aramax, as we all know, is one of the largest logistics companies in the world with 1.6 billion in revenue. And actually, they had the same challenge as the flux of e-commerce as well as COVID and online started to scale. They saw a sudden increase in customer support tickets, right? COVID-19 shipping demands, habit change. Aramax actually partnered with MessageBird to deflect calls to chats and automate answers to routine customer queries. The outcome, 2.7x better chat managed per phone call and 19% decrease in incoming call volume. So now you can imagine the outcome or the ROI. More importantly, the customer satisfaction that we were able to drive, or Aramax was able to drive for its customers. The last, and before I hand it over to Pradeep, I actually want to give you one takeaway or one thing that you will not believe. What if I challenged you and made you believe that by implementing today's solutions and today's offerings, you can actually turn your customer support agents into sales agents? And let's have a look at how Expert, one of the retail with 200 odd plus stores in the Netherlands, actually did that. They empowered Expert, like many other companies, had to go online overnight. They had many people in the store, obviously advising their potential customers of products, and they were not able to do anymore because, so what they did is they added WhatsApp buttons next to each of their products and backed by their customer support agents, not only answering queries, but also doubling up as sales agents, right? What was the impact? 225 plus support agents actually turned into sales agents, generating revenue for the company. What was more astonishing is we were able to increase 80% conversion rate to sales for any customer that was coming in and inquiring. So with that, I'm going to stop my presentation. Thank you for now. I think it's more meaningful that Pradeep takes over and actually shares with you how this is done, how simple it is, and what impact it can drive for you. Pradeep, over to you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Vinay. Hello, everyone. For the next 20 minutes, I'll demonstrate these three use cases, which are purpose-built to simplify the customer engagements, leveraging Flow Builder, which is our low-code, no-code product module, built with a value proposition of communication automations made easy. Also, I'll walk through our AI product module, which underpins this entire customer experience. So let's see this first use case, which is call deflections to messaging. So just allow me to share my screen. Okay. What you see on the left-hand side is this particular flow builder where I've architected the conversational design. On the right-hand side, you see the mobile phone, which I'm currently carrying with me. Now, as an end user, when say a user wants to call a helpline number, this is what the typical experience, which Vinay was referring to also. Okay, let me just put it on speaker.
Welcome to MessageBird Brands. We are seeing an uptick in call volumes today. The estimated wait time is 12 minutes. Would you like to continue this conversation on WhatsApp? If yes, please press 1. Please stay on this call to speak to an agent.
Yeah. So I'm clicking +1.
Thank you. In a few moments, you will receive a WhatsApp message from our team.
Okay. So by clicking on plus on 1, what I gave was a consent for the business to send the communication on a WhatsApp message. So what you see here are two messages. One is an image message, which is the branding message. And the second is a list of options that you give it to your users, whether he wants to do a tracking of order, whether he wants to do a placing of order, right? Now, instead of these as an image file. You can also send a video file as well. Now, what happens is by giving these options, you eliminate the painful customer experience of hearing all the voice recordings and then selecting those particular options. And for whatever reason, if you happen to just do a mistake by selecting the options, you have to go through the endless loop. So this is what we kind of accelerate the customer experience. Let me give you a walkthrough in terms of how this is implemented. So the flow that you see on the left hand side, when the user calls up this particular phone number, this entire flow is triggered. And you see this option, which is a greeting message. So with this say step, the businesses can configure the message which they want their user to hear. Along with that, you have options like language settings, which you can change it whether English, Hindi, or any of the language that you want the user to hear. The gender is whether it is a male or female tone that you can work it out over here. And also you can look out for whether you want to give a repeated option for the user to hear this particular message. As a second option, which is the WhatsApp capability, what I would like to share is as MessageBird, we provide multiple options to send a WhatsApp message. So let's see this first message, which is the branding message. Now, when you click on the branding message, you see this option of image. What I've done is I've used the media server, which is part of the MessageBird product portfolio, to upload this particular image and then use that particular image file to be listed over here, which I can send it across to all my customer base. Along with image, you can also send a video file as well. I've seen businesses who have used their own cloud hosting environment where they can put all the marketing content on a S3 bucket on AWS or within a GCP, and then the public listed URL can be shared over here, which can be pushed to that particular user. The second type of WhatsApp message is this list of services. Now, you have this interactive list option as a message setting, where you have 3 different options, which you can configure here. If you just want to give the user just 3 buttons, you can use this reply buttons. If you have option to provide more than 3 buttons, you can use this second one, which is the list options. On the right-hand side, what you see is this is the experience that you will get to your end user. The third option is a single product message. Now, from a MessageBird's product portfolio standpoint, we have a tight integration with Meta Commerce Manager, where you can have all your product portfolio uploaded onto catalog, and then you can use the products from the catalog to be configured over here to be sent it out to your user base as well. So that is from a Meta Commerce Manager integration. Along with that, you see this option here as a template. So MessageBird has WhatsApp Template Manager as part of product portfolio, where business can configure the one-way notification using a single dashboard. Business users gets to design the WhatsApp messages, preview those WhatsApp messages like a video message or image message before it can send it to approval for Facebook. Once the template message is approved, these messages can be configured within the Flow Builder. So what we saw in the first use case is how easy it is to deflect the calls to a WhatsApp chat. Literally a business person with no coding skills can define these flows in a matter of 15 to 20 minutes. This is what we implemented at OO Energy, where we managed to deflect 25% of the calls to WhatsApp. So let me pause here and check with this group on a simple question. So I'm going to ask my team to put a quick poll and give some 30 seconds, to see the results. Can I have the poll, please? Okay, fantastic. So I think there is a bit typo here, but what percentage of calls within your customer support operations can be handled by an AI-powered chatbot? So, and the options, there are none, and 10 to 45% as the second option. And the third is 45 to 80%, and the last option is 100%. So let's give a few more seconds, and then let's see what the result comes out. Wow, excellent. So I see a majority of the votes coming into the second bracket, which is 10 to 45%. Like close to 59% of those particular votes are present in this 10 to 45%. And then I see 28% where uh, it is in this third bracket, which is 45 to 80%. And I definitely see a 3% where I get this response as 100%. So these are, see, there are multiple factors which impacts these percentage. Like for an e-commerce industry has a greater acceptance of these cognitive technologies. Now with chatbots powered e-commerce transactions projected to around 112 billions in $12 billion in 2023. Now the second factor is around the organization readiness in building this knowledge management systems, which can be leveraged for the implementation of these cognitive technologies. I'll talk more about this in the second use case, which is the FAQ bot. So let me move on to the next use case, which is the FAQ bot. Of course, we have all experienced the implementation of a 80-20 rule in understanding the repetitive nature of customer queries, then categorization of these particular customer queries to check if it is a candidate for automation, and then building the automation, and then defining the overall optimization cycle. MessageBird provides this simplification of this entire process via Flow Builder, via Inbox, and additionally brings the AI capability using our in-house machine learning algorithm. So without any further ado, let me start the second level of demonstration here. So what you see here is another flow, which is purpose-built to perform 3 levels of deflection. One, a language-based deflection. Second, an intent-based deflection. And the third, which is the FAQ bot. This time, I will use the simulate feature of this flow builder to walk through all these 3 levels of deflection. Think about it. Think of it as a preview of your end user journey on your chatbot. You see the Omnichannel step here. Now, this enables businesses to provide capability of social listening across all major social media platforms. So as a business, if you are active on all these particular channels, all you have to do is just click on this buttons and tag it to this particular flow. And you will be able to hear the customer's query from across each of these particular brands. It is as simple as that, right? So let's see these 3 levels of deflection, starting with, say, language-based deflection. So this is what simulate is. I can use, say, WhatsApp, and I type in, say, Krupaya delivery rad kar rahe. Now, my AI engine triggers from a language standpoint, and then it detects Hindi as a language. And then the user is greeted in a Hindi language, which is Namaste, MessageBird mein aapka swagat hai. Now, you can definitely configure your business process, which is to do with Hindi over here. I've seen large enterprises categorizing their entire customer base across globe and detecting those particular language requirements for each segment of user. The same flow can be replicated across all the major languages across the globe. For India specifically, we support all major languages, be it Hindi, Tamil, Telugu. And if there are any custom language requirements, our AI engines can be configured to include that specific language pack as well. So let me demonstrate the second level, which is the intent-based deflection. Please note, this is just a part of a large demo. So I'm just going to showcase how the intent is detected here. And this time I'll use Messenger. And I say, can I get to know the status of my order? The AI engine detects the language, which is English. Then there is a recognition of intent. Right? And this time, let's see the intent detected here is tracking. So as a user, when he types in, can I get to know the status of my order? The AI engine, using his machine learning algorithm, detects that it is a tracking related query. And then accordingly, your logistics business process can be configured in that particular flow. So let's go one step further in optimizing this flow, which is a self-service based approach to our customer. So let's say in this case, I just want to do a cancellation of my order. And I'll use, say, WhatsApp here. and I pass on this particular query. What you see here is a language is detected. There is a recognition of intent. There is branding. This time, what you see here is the answer FAQ, which is worked out. So as a user, when I type, say, need help to cancel my order, the help detected was, say, support. And from an FAQ standpoint, since it was a cancellation, it gave me a cancellation policy with steps, how I can cancel my particular order. So as a best practice, I generally recommend businesses to ask feedback after every AI step. In this case, I press 1 because my query is resolved. In case my query is not resolved, what I can do is I can have all these conversations listed here pushed across to my customer representative who is handling the cancellation part of it, supposed to a cancellation department. Now, these are these 3 levels of deflections, which helps in reducing the turnaround time, as well as optimizing the entire customer experience, saving precious time of the end users. See, I've worked with large enterprises which have knowledge repository of FAQs in the form of documentations, videos, images, and PDFs. The customer support representative in these organizations, they were typically sharing all these artifacts to the end users manually. Now, what is possible now using AI is the AI engine is sharing these artifacts directly to the end user, now without any manual interventions. I know you will have questions. So let me request all of you to just add up those particular questions in the window, and I or my team would pick it up soon. Now, before moving on to the next use case, let's have, say, another poll. So can I request the team to have another poll to get a pulse? Okay, so the second poll that we wanted to carry out today is, do you see value and interest in a multilingual and intent-based chatbots? And you have just 2 options, yes and no. So let me give, say, a couple more seconds, and then we can see how this particular results is coming up. Okay, can I see the results? Wow, this is excellent. I think I say 100% of the audience saying yes. Okay, so I think this is a great percentage, and I definitely see the value. But I would like to talk about the market forces which is driving these kind of chatbot opportunities. So the market forces on the demand side of these chatbot opportunities, as well as on the supply side. So on the demand side, there is an increasing pressure on the contact center agents. There is a necessity to reduce this operating cost, as well as there is a necessity to increase the training. Plus, there is a rising demand for self-service. Like for a customer, they don't want to wait even a minute. They want to have that particular problem statement resolved. On the supply side, you have a technological advancement in the form of AI and NLP. Right? Chatbots are being built with machine learning algorithms behind it, and they are able to converse with a human, like as any human can do it. Then the second option of the supply chain is this chatbot platform, where for a customer support operations head, all he has to do is he has to use these drag and drop platforms. So these drag and drop platforms will help him to build this up rather than doing any kind of coding which he wants to do it. So these are 2 market forces on both on the demand side as well as on the supply side, which kind of moves these particular chatbot opportunities. So with that, let me move on to the third use case, which is into automated ticket routing and integrations. Large enterprise organizations having multi-tier architectures have systems specifically designed for authentication. And then there are systems designed for order processing. As a good CX practice, it's advisable to provide the end user the required information directly from these systems without any human interventions. Now, let me demonstrate this integration use case when a user interacts, say, with the chatbot. So let me just use this as an option, and let me kind of interact with this chatbot. Okay, there is a greeting, and it is asking me, how can I help you? And I just want to know, can I know the status of my order? Right? And what happens now is I've been prompted to say, this is the order ID. So before I go ahead, I wanted to talk about two validations that the system is doing behind the scene. One is the phone number from which you send this order is validated, which is the authentication part. Second is this open orders associated with this phone number. So these two, after these two levels of validation, if I know that this is the order that I'm speaking of, let me just say yes, right? Now, from the order processing system, the data about this particular order, the real-time data is provided to the user, which is the order is shipped, and this is a live location, right? As a best practice from a CX standpoint, I always tend to have this particular query saying whether this is helping you or not, right? In this case, I want to reschedule the order. So I said, yes, I have a query. And then I'm prompted saying, what is the query? So, and then I say, can I reschedule the order to 20th because I am not available today. Now, this is a time where you kind of prompt your user to go to an inbox, which is our Omnichannel messaging first application. So what you see on the left-hand side is the customer support representative view, where you see this dashboard, which a CSR will have access to it. On the right-hand side, you see the person, which is Pradeep. You see all the elements of the customer, his Facebook identifier, his phone number, his Instagram. You can add as much information as you want on this particular contact level information, the category of the loyalty that he belongs to, the number of orders, the overall sentiment analysis of this particular person. Here, the CSR also gets an availability in terms of what all platforms that this person is using for. So this gives a good insight of the person to the CSR. What you see here on this window is these tags, which is delivery and escalations. Now, I have configured this particular ticket to come from the flow, which belongs to the intent of tracking. And that's how you see that delivery as a customer department, which has been tagged over there. And I, as a customer support representative, have skill set in the skills of delivery and handling escalations. Hence, it is routed to me. Now, you see the entire conversation history. All this conversation history, I can see it. So the user doesn't have to repeat himself again and again with all this particular conversation. And I, as a CSR, have a complete understanding of his particular concern. So if I can just pick up this, right? Say if the user is looking to reschedule this order, I just add a note here. Now this, I can push it out to my backend system in terms of making sure that, okay, this rescheduling the order to 20th April can be executed. I, as a customer support representative, have these options like say welcome, like these are canned reply to make sure there is a consistency in the communication across your customer support representative. This is how I do a welcome. I can then quickly say a note to the user saying the reschedule is done, and then I can use any of these particular channels for the user to send across that particular communication. This is where the omni-channel experience can be provided to your end user, right? I pick up, say, WhatsApp, and then I send a message as say, yes. So once I send it, user has an option to say, thanks, and he can put an emoji. That's about it. Right? I, as a CSR, then can just quickly resolve this. It moves from my bucket and it goes into the finished list. Now, this was the view that you saw from a customer support representative standpoint. Now, how does an admin of this particular customer support operation looks into this particular data? So if I go into reports, this is the first thing that I get is a real-time report. What you see here is the real-time view across all your platforms, across all your department, and you get all these data points. You also have an ability to see the data, rather do a slice and dice of this particular data for operational analysis. Like suppose a user time period of say last 365 days across all the platforms that this customer support operations is active, across all the departments of customer support operations. Now, these are all like your department within your contact center support operations, right? And you can do a slice and dice across all the agents as well. I can hit the apply filter, and then I can look into the statistics. Now, in terms of the reporting, what you get to see is the total number of tickets created, the entire trend, how the tickets are behaving, the benchmark of how these particular tickets are performing in regards to the previous period. And also you can get an option to download these tickets. Again, ticket resolution, also you get the same data. Plus you get two critical elements, which is average first response time for that entire time period against a benchmark against the previous period. Same goes with average resolution time. So these are critical metrics that administrator can get, and there are much more that you can configure all over here. Plus, I would also like to bring up a different view, which is a heat map view. I kind of like it. As an administrator, I know exactly which is the day within a week which is busy, and rather which is hour which is busy. And in this case, it is 10. And I see this particular time duration, which is like where there is a lot of active. Now with this, I can do a capacity planning of my contact support operations. And then I can accordingly plan like which resources can come at what time and which resources come at what time as well. So this is a way in terms of, having strategies defined for your contact center operations. So with that, let me do a quick recap on what we saw in this use case. So what we saw here is the integration with an external system or via Flow Builder to authenticate as well as to fetch the data in real time. We also saw Inbox and Omnichannel messaging first application, which helps support team to effectively communicate with their customers. Now, these are some of the use cases which I wanted to share with you to help solve your business problems by enabling you to communicate with your customers on their preferred channels, while also building self-service automation to effectively deflect the calls for your support team. Now, with that, let me hand over this to Satyajit on the further part of this session.
Great. Thank you, Pradeep. And I must also thank Vinay for insightful presentations and helping our audiences understand better what building frictional omnichannel customer experience actually means in the real world. I can see a lot of questions coming up from the audiences, and I would really want to open the floor for questions now. And I would like to invite Vinay to take the questions. So Vinay, over to you.
Hey, thanks. Pradeep, you may stop the screen share. Thank you. So already, I think a great audience, great interactive. Appreciate the questions coming in. We've answered a lot, and thank you for the team that is here answering those questions. I would request, please let your questions keep coming in. We'll try and answer as many of them in live. But actually, to kind of recap the most popular asked questions, right, that have been posted is, number one, can I integrate many channels? Yes, you can. Number two, how do I integrate many channels? I think these are channel identifiers. When you have channel identifiers, a mobile number is a channel identifier, for example, for SMS, for call, for WhatsApp. That's the identifier that the channel provides you. But to some of the questions that I think Prashant asked, Instagram, Facebook Messenger, and GBM, they have unique channel identifiers that are not the mobile number because the channel does not provide that channel identifier. So we have something called the Contacts API or the Conversations API, and you are able to take that information and actually merge it into a contact. And I think we'll be more than happy after the webinar to actually walk you through how effective it is to actually see a dashboard where you have Vinay, for example, 6 channels integrated. He reaches out on any channel and he's able to address that, or you as a business are able to address my requirement. I see another question. Can we take inputs from the bot and integrate any order management API to make changes in the order? Absolutely. So it depends where you're taking the input, right? If you're taking it on WhatsApp, for example, when you're taking an order or a customer's placing on an order on your website, if the mobile number is mapped, you don't even need to take the input because the mobile number comes in as an identifier. You can integrate with your system and push back to Pradeep as a customer. Hey, Pradeep, thank you for connecting. Your order is out for delivery and it will be delivered by 5 p.m. And then obviously you can extend that rich engagement saying, press one to press the button one to confirm yes. Would you like to reschedule? Press two. Or would you like to change your order? Press the or you order something else. So we see a lot of businesses wherein they're using the comms on WhatsApp to drive the order shipment status, delivery, and also reconfirmation. Hope that answers your question. Let me go to the next one. In the case of call deflection to WhatsApp, wouldn't it be great to deflect if we deflect the calls post we knew the intent? Because what if my customer is deflected, but later on WhatsApp, I don't find the intent of query as an option, and then again have to make back call resolving? I think it's a great question. I think the answer lies between the 80-20 rule. What are 80% of your customers calling you for? And can you deflect that to get them an instant answer? Now, it changes business to business, Vishal. If you look at a logistics company, 80% of the queries they get are shipment status. They just want to call the customer contact support agent and say, where is my parcel? Absolutely, you can tweak your IVR and say, hey, if you're calling with regards to a shipment, just press one. And you don't even need to ask the question again on the channel. You can actually update that to his WhatsApp straight away and say your order is out for delivery. If you're an e-commerce company and the customer is asking for a different question, you can map that out. So I think the answer lies in what is your user journey? What do you want the customer to choose the intent, or just ask him a question and then drive him back? Hope that answers that. Paresh asks, can the order be placed through chat and complete the journey in the ordering in chat? Yes, it can be. We have videos that show that. You can do ordering, you can do delivery, you can do pickup. However, the payment still goes back to your payment gateway. So you may be using ABC payment gateways. You can actually walk an entire journey, which is like, let's say you're a company that is making mobile phone accessories. You can actually show the customer product options. On each product options, you can show him various images. You can move that conversation from a website into a channel or within the channel itself. He can build a cart inside the channel and then actually check out. The only thing that doesn't happen today is when you check out, you need to go outside onto your payment gateway, finish the payment, and then come back to the channel to close the user journey. So I hope, Paresh, that answers your question. Lovely. Any more questions, guys? I mean, I love the questions. Vishal has another question. What are the challenges brands might face while delivering seamless omni-channel customer experience, and how to deal with it or solutions? I think again, a great question, Vishal. I think we've seen successful businesses and brands succeed at delivering seamless omni-channel customer experience is, number one, the simplicity and clarity of the user journey. I think it starts with that is, hey, I have customers asking these questions. Can I automate these questions? And can I automate these questions on all the channels I am present as a business? So it gives my customer the flexibility. Second, obviously, simplicity in the tools or the technology stack you use, right? How deep do you want to go in? If it's just coming by a mobile number, can I track his order shipment status? Or if it is coming on product, can I move him to that? And third, obviously, choosing the right partner. If I may be a little cheeky and sneaky here, obviously working with brands like MessageBird helps you address all that, because you don't depend on engineering, or we don't heavily depend on engineering. Can WhatsApp Pay do any good in checkout? Yes, we believe so. A lot of things are happening. WhatsApp is Facebook, primarily, or Meta, if you may say, is heavily investing into a lot of tooling, and we'll be happy to take this call offline to see what is your use case and what are you looking to address. Mayak has another question. Can MessageBird help companies in marketing activities or run certain campaigns to generate sales leads? Sorry. Absolutely, Mayak. So we actually seen in the case of Tokopedia, we were able to drive a better conversion, a click-through ratio, and a conversion over 1,000% by driving an omni-channel engagement on marketing-led sales conversion motions. Now, what does that mean? Typically, you'll see businesses send emails, send SMS, and then send WhatsApp. 3 silos or 3 standalone marketing-led motions. Now, imagine what Pradeep was showing you in the flow builder. You send an email campaign to, let's say, 1 million users, and then you have it integrated with your system and say, okay, if for all the users you branch out, if all the users who have not clicked on the link, send them an SMS after 24 hours. Again, you're tracking back and validating with the system. And then you're going back one level and saying, okay, for all the users who have not clicked, but have got an email and an SMS, send them a WhatsApp message. That's a omni-channel deferred by time, and then the user journey changes. Let me give you another example. Actually, the most popular marketing initiative that most of our businesses do is abandoned cart chase. I think nothing is more disappointing or upsetting or challenging for a business is when you have spent all the marketing dollars on various platforms. You have customers who come to your website or onto your app, they add products onto the cart, and for various reasons we've seen, they leave the cart. What most businesses do, and we have this as a standard template, I think somebody asked that question, we call it an abandoned cart chase. You can actually build an omni-channel chase for abandoned cart, which could be if Pradeep puts products in the cart, leaves the cart for any reason, you can actually control that chase to Pradeep back and say, okay, he left product in, let me send him a WhatsApp, customized WhatsApp with the link to his cart, and then he can check out. Let's say he doesn't respond or doesn't act on it for 24 hours. Hey, can I send him a reminder on 2 channels? If not, can I pass it on to my customer support agent and do a voice call? Hey, Pradeep, thank you. You left products in your cart. Is there something that we can do? What we've also seen for high value products, and we've implemented that for such certain large e-commerce companies in India, is actually give customers an option for video. So what that does is, for example, somebody's looking to buy ticket size, let's say $500 and above. Just as example, you want to give them an option for moving from a chase in WhatsApp or email or chat into a video consultation. And we're able to navigate that for high ticket values or custom bespoke products. So Mehek, sorry for that. Hopefully that answers the question, and the team will be more than happy to address more of this after the webinar. Puneet, what sort of abandoned cart retention conversions have you seen with partners on your platform? Great question, Puneet. I don't have the statistics. I should have had them handy, but I'll be more than happy to share this with you as well as most of the other attendees on this. I think this is a ROI that we surely track. More than us, I think our businesses surely track because it's a key aspect for them. It's a high intent customer. And in order for a high intent customer to move to conversion becomes the priority. So I don't have the number handy, but I'll be more than happy for the team to revert back to you shortly. Vishal, I have read somewhere that omnichannel will lead to weaker margins if not handled properly. How can brands avoid this? I'm unclear, Vishal, when you mean that will lead to weaker margins. Omnichannel, I think I'll break it into 2 with some assumptions. Omnichannel has a sales aspect, which is a physical retail store as well as a digital retail store. And obviously that has its own cost matrix. If you have a store on high street versus only online, and the cost of acquisition on these stores differ. I think what we're trying to address here today is the whole aspect of omni-channel communications. So it really doesn't matter where your customer is. We believe that the significant or the delta on the cost to integrate all your channels is very little. And it does not actually increase your cost or decrease your margin. It actually helps you do better conversions, better customer satisfaction, better retention, re-engagements, and obviously increasing the LTV or the lifetime value of your customer. Puneet says, sure thing, thanks. Lovely, loving the questions. We have 5 more minutes, at least on the scheduled time. I can see, I love the questions that are coming in. Please let us know if anyone else has any questions that we can address today.
Yeah, we just have time for, maybe one more question, so we can, we'll ask our audiences to connect with Pradeep and Vinay offline, but we still have time for one more question. So we'll wait for a minute.
Abhishek, how is, sorry, Satyajit, just, I don't mind staying till 4 o'clock and addressing questions if it comes. Thank you for extending this till then. Abhishek, how is multi-channel approach different from omni-channel engagement? I think it's kind of intertwined in each other. Multi-channel, typically, if I understand your question correct, is more silo approach, which is like, hey, I have the 5 channels, but I'm engaging with my customer in each of these channels independently. Omni-channel is more integrated. is like a customer is coming on one versus the other channel. Today he asks on the chatbot, tomorrow he asks on WhatsApp, day after he's on Instagram. And how do I kind of intertwine or interweave all my channels to really give one unified customer experience? Assuming that's your question, I definitely omnichannel is better. It drives a richer customer experience. Mandar, how is metaverse getting connected in the omnichannel approach? Good question. I actually don't have the answer today. I think metaverse, in my personal view, is it's in a very naive and nascent stage. I think a lot of things are happening there. Businesses want to be on metaverse. Customers want to be on metaverse. My daughter is learning, and she's 11 years old in school, on what metaverse is. I think time will shortly tell us what is the business that, what is the engagement that the brand or the customer is doing on metaverse. I think the way we look at it as MessageBird is, if metaverse is an important channel, or aspects or elements on metaverse are important, then definitely we will have those integrations in order for you or your business or your customer to be able to engage with you. I know not the perfect answer, but I'm more than happy to see how we can address that in the future, in times to come. Yeah, a couple more minutes. I'm loving this. Always a lot of learning, because the more questions we get, the more feedback we get. It also tells us what is the customer thinking, what are you as a business thinking, what are your priorities, what are your problem statements. I think I would also say, if people are not, we don't have questions, you can actually state problem statements that, hey, this is my current problem, or my business faces this problem, or my consumer has this request. I'm more than happy to see if we can. Paresh has a question. Thank you. What are the limitations of omnichannel? Paresh, I'm not clear on I would love to expand your question. I think the limitations are obviously, if you look at without automation, the limitations of omnichannel really become on how do you manage what is called social listening on all these channels. And then the next step becomes the high level of automation on all these channels. And I think more regional you go into India, and we see what we hear all the time is, we're moving from India to Bharat. And then customers in Bharat are looking for talking to you on their channel, on their language. I think in our view, the limitations on omnichannel really are more, if you're present on the channel, if you don't, and you're telling the customer to be present on the channel, then I think we believe that the business should provide the option to have a rich engagement on that channel. Obviously, the channel identifiers technically become a limitation. Like I think Puneet asked earlier on, how can I seamlessly integrate all the channels with one customer? Well, today the identifier is not unique, and hence there is some work to be done using a contacts API or merging of contacts. Thank you. Another minute or so. Happy to take any last questions if anybody has.
We're already at 4, so I would really request our audiences to connect with Vinay and Pradeep, offline, and have that conversation, and have their queries resolved. We are already going to towards the close. We have a couple of questions already in. Vinay, would you want to take a look at it?
Yes. Let me wrap this up. Satyaji. Do we have Arabic and multilingual chatbot? Absolutely, Lakshmikant. In fact, it's a great point. We can today provide the entire capability across all the channels in pretty much any language of your choice, including, I think it's 15 plus languages in India. I'm not naming the customer, but they're a large hospitality customer, both in India and the Middle East. And you imagine the experience we have created for them is you can be anywhere in the hotel. You can simply scan a QR code based on the language, English or Arabic. It actually lets you order room service, towels, book a spa, check your balance, everything inside the channel like WhatsApp and on the language of your choice. So yes. Vishal, does MessageBird allow brand to use voice-based query TTS to its customers? Yes. I think voice is a complex product. You have voice TTS, which is incoming as well as outgoing. What I'll do is, Vishal, I'll suggest the team to take it offline with you and understand what is your use case and what is the user flow. And then we surely offer TTS. Can we weave some BFSI use case and not necessarily only digital commerce? Yes, for sure. I can give you an example. And Lakshmikant, by the time, as I speak, if you have a few questions on what is your use case, But we're working with a very large insurance company in India, and the BFSI use case is actually a renewal chase for insurance. Now imagine, right? The old process was call Pradeep 90 days, call Pradeep 60 days, call Pradeep 30 days. A request, we have the registration information. I would request team members not to post personal contact information in the chat. That just keeps from getting that information going out. But typically customers would get calls from a contact center for insurance company. What we've done for them is sort of an omni-channel chase. It says, let's start with T minus 90, T minus 75, 60, 45, 30, 15, build an omni-channel chase and actually drive renewal of insurance without having to call the customer even once, or reduce the number of customers that need to be called in order to renew the insurance. So yeah, awesome. I think time's up. I think I appreciate, in the interest of time, we as MessageBird and ET Digital, ET Brand Equity, want to sincerely thank you for being amazing audience, listening to us, listening to what we're doing, sharing questions. I mean, we love the questions, and I wish I could have another hour to answer your questions. But me and my team are available here, even post the call, post the webinar. We will reach out to you. You can reach out to us, connect on LinkedIn, send us an email, or we'll reach out to you. And we're more than happy to address your problem statements and see how we can co-create value with you. With that, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And I'm sure the insights shared by our experts today have helped you immensely in taking a deep dive into building, frictionless omnichannel customer experiences. I would also like to thank our experts, Vinay and Pradeep, for taking out time. From all of us here, it's bye and see you next time. Thank you so much.